Bellator 271 taking place tonight in Hollywood, Florida. It seems that South Florida is owning Friday night in regards to the combat world. We got BKFC taking place down in Miami. And as stated, we got some Bellator action taking place in Hollywood. Cyborg steps back in there. She takes on the tough boxer here in Kavanaugh. We'll see how this fight plays out. You guys already know that Cyborg is a giant favorite. Let's get into the main card here.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller. The teller. The teller. The teller. The teller.
What is up, you guys? More mixed martial arts action coming at you. Bellator 271. Take a quick look at some notable fights on this fight card that is taking place here in a few hours. Fights taking place here Friday night, filming this Friday morning. Cris Cyborg steps back in there, takes on the Irish fighter Sinead Kavanagh, known for her boxing background, which we're going to get into in a minute because I don't know really what there is to know about that or what there is to be known of as far as her accomplishments. Tyrell Fortune takes on Linton Vassell. That's a good fight there. Fortune, more the up-and-comer. Well, Vasell's been a household name over on the Bellator scene for quite some time. Pico, speaking of a kid that was an up-and-comer, but is now, a guy that's been around the block for such a long time. I mean, Pico grew up in the Bellator cage. He's now had 11 professional fights, going on his 12th, taking on the undefeated Justin Gonzalez. One of my favorite fights here on the card. We'll be talking about this featherweight fight here in Arlene, Blencowe, and Pam Sorensen as well. Steve Mowry taking on Rakim Cleveland. And then we will also start things off with the Valerie Loureda taking on Taylor Turner fight. And with no further ado, we're going to jump right into that fight right now. All right, we got Valerie Loureda on the prelims taking on Taylor Turner. This isn't something new for Taylor in the sense that she's taken on a fighter that has a pretty big following and a fighter that seems to have a little bit more energy surrounding her based on more than just her fighting skills. I don't want to say that was completely the case against Heather Hardy, but Heather Hardy was more of a decorated boxer that came over to the MMA scene. She got a lot of respect at the time, and Taylor came in there, spoiled the party. So this isn't necessarily something new for her. This fight is a little bit reminiscent to that, but Valerie Loureda, she's a career mixed martial artist. She was into the karate and stuff when she was young. She looked really, really good against Tara Graf. That's really where she made a name for herself. If you guys remember, she had that big knockout victory. She started to shake her butt a little bit in there, and the video went viral. And since then, Bellator is definitely trying to push her. She has the look. I think the only thing you could really say about her is, as I've been seeing people hating on her feet, they say that she has some Fred Flintstone feet. But other than that, I mean, she's got it going on. You see her dressed up here for Halloween. She's a ferocious chick. Again, I'm going to bring it back to that Tara Graf fight. I love the killer instinct that she had in that fight when she dropped her, the way she went in for the kill. I love the grunting when she's going down there, raining the ground and pound. I think that really is effective over on the women's mixed martial arts side of things. I think it intimidates the opponents. It helps you get the stoppage maybe a little bit quicker than you should have. I'm not saying that was the case in that fight, but I like that move there. I like that tenacity when a fighter goes down to the ground, starts raining shots, and she's screaming there. So Valerie really showed to be a lioness in that fight. Now she bounced back in her next fight against Hannah Guy, and she took a tough loss there. Hannah Guy, although she doesn't have that much of a polished resume, I think Hannah Guy is a tough customer. She's a decent fighter there, and she showed it on that night, and she really worked Valerie. She beat Valerie up. It wasn't really even that close of a fight, if you guys remember. Taylor Turner, we'll bring it back to her. In that fight where she really spoiled the party against Hardy, she brutalized Hardy in that fight, man. Hardy was bloodied up. I remember really enjoying that fight because I was not really the biggest fan of Hardy. I remember listening to her on the MMA Hour, and I didn't really like her personality, to be honest with you guys, and I kind of enjoyed watching her getting taken out. Taylor seems to be a respectful chick, cool chick there, and that was a big win for her, possibly the biggest win of her career. But she loses 2 fights in a row, loses to Alejandra Lara, loses to Ashley Dean, and in both those fights she gets finished, and then she bounces back with the victory over Hannah Ellswick with the submission there. She's 38 years old. Valerie only 23, still very young. I'm going to go with Valerie here. I think that Valerie, although she didn't look that good in her last fight, she's a decent Decently well-rounded fighter. She has some striking. She has some pop in her punches, but understand that she's being crafted and molded over there at American Top Team. You got to have faith in that gym over there. You got to have faith that they're gonna have her live up to her potential. We should see strides in her game. Taylor, a tough chick. She's competent on the mat, but I think that Valerie can keep this fight standing, and I think that Valerie could land some big shots, and she could either win a decision, which is probably most likely going to happen, but maybe she does something surprising like she did in that last fight, or 2 fights ago, against Telegraph. That'd be a fun thing to see, but maybe a little less likely. We'll see. I got Valerie to win that fight, and Valerie right now, we'll take a look at the live line. Loreda right now is right around a minus 500, which to me, I mean, if you're scoping out a line on Valerie or Loreda from minus 500 in a spot against Taylor Turner, I mean, I don't know what you're doing over there, but not really my cup of tea. I mean, sit back, enjoy this fight, see if Valerie puts on a show there. Other than that, you stay away from that from a betting standpoint, in my opinion. You just check out this show here, and I got Valerie to win that fight. And that will take us. We're gonna scroll up now to the main card, and we're gonna talk about this Arlene Blencowe taking on Pam Sorensen fight taking place in the featherweight division. This girl Arlene, the Anger Fist, Blencowe, hopefully I'm saying that name right, but taking on Pam Sorensen. We know Pam's been around the block for a little bit, fighting over an Invicta. Pam is just a very, very basic fighter. The majority of her wins are via decision. I mean, just never really has been that impressive in my mind. But she's one of the few featherweight fighters that has a decent name just because it's such a shallow division. She's been around the block. She has a couple wins here and there. She's fought some big names, came up short in those fights. And so did Arlene, right? Arlene, she's had some very big fights. She's fought Julia Budd. She's fought Cyborg. I mean, those are very, very big names to be in there with. Let's not sleep on Julia Budd. Julia Budd is a girl that really doesn't get the credit she deserves, and she took her to a split decision. Julia Budd, a stud athlete. You see some professional boxing experience under her resume. You see it transfer over to the MMA world. She has beautiful hands. I really like the combinations that she throws out there. Looking into some of her tape, she's a very tough chick, has good pop on her strikes. She could definitely give a lot of these chicks trouble in the division. If their name is not Cyborg, right? Cyborg, the legend. But Pam Sorensen, this may be a little bit of a tough fight for her. Again, though, Pam Sorensen, she is competent, she's capable, she's a well-rounded fighter, but at the end of the day, I think that Arlene hurts her on the feet. I think that she tags her up on the feet, and I think that she just handles business, period. I like watching her fight, and I think she has some good potential, but keep in mind she is 38 years old, so I don't really know what they're looking to do with her. Just throw out a couple more entertaining fights with her as long as she can keep going. But right now she looks to be absolutely fine. She looks fresh. She looks to be in good shape, and I think that she handles this fight. We take a look at the live line right now, and Arlene is right around a minus 400. Another big favorite. What do you guys expect here? It's a Bellator card. You guys don't get on me for picking these heavy favorites. I mean, it is what it is. I ain't picking Pam to win that fight. You break down the tape, and it's just it's looking like Arlene's fight. So that's how I'm going there. All right, now this fight right here, probably my most highly anticipated fight on the card. Pico taking on the undefeated Justin Gonzales. Now, it's pretty cool. This guy, Justin Gonzales, I had his management team reach out to me back when I was doing MMA Live Discussion. I was trying to coordinate an interview with him before he even was making any of the type of noise that he's been as of over the last year or so, right? He's had a fight in Bellator, took out Taiwan Claxton, had a big fight over in LFA. I believe he headlined that event there. And then, of course, he had the Contender Series fight over Zach Zane. Didn't get the contract there. So since then, that's already been 2 years. So you know what? Actually, I'm sorry about that. I talked to his management team after the Contender Series fight. So those last 2 fights happened since. But they were explaining to me at the time, that Justin was just kind of going through some things, and he was trying to kind of, how would I phrase that? Just kind of get back on track with what he needed to be doing. So maybe he had a little bit of some distractions outside of the cage. Definitely seems to have got things going. Like I said, 2 big victories. Do not sleep on the victory over Taiwan Claxton, the very talented fighter with a good wrestling background. The Jake Childers knockout, again, though, headlining there against an undefeated fighter. That's a big spot there. Justin Gonzales, extremely well-rounded, in my opinion. He could strike with you, comes in great shape, has some submission skills, and you take a look at his resume. Taking out Nick Rhodes, 10-3 opponent back in 2017. But again, the big noise that he's been doing has definitely been over the last couple of years, though. The Dana White's Contender Series fight, and then the last couple of fights. Now, Aaron Pico, you guys know Aaron Pico, man. This guy is an absolute pleasure to watch. The beginning of his career did start off a little shaky. Excuse me here. The beginning of his career did start off a little shaky. Definitely got a little overzealous in there at times. He was looking to take his opponents all out in the first round, and it cost him. He got countered, got wobbled, got finished a couple times, and those were all part of growing into the fighter that he is today. He's always been a very dangerous guy, but sometimes it's not always about your offensive output. As it is about your defense and your offense, right? You got to be a well-rounded fighter, and Aaron Pico is a lot more patient in there now. He picks his shots. Again, he'll still go in there and completely decapitate you, of course, but he sets it up in the right way. He doesn't overdo it, and that's why, as of recently, I've really liked what I've seen from him. Taking out Aiden Lee. Aiden Lee is a scrappy fighter. Taking him out in the third round, knocking out John De Jesus. That was a fun fight, if you remember. John was. Actually, excuse me, that might have been, was that Solo Hatley? It was one of these two. I think it was the Solo fight where there was a little bit of bad blood there. It was the Solo fight. And he took him out and, talked some crap to him, man. And you love to see that energy from Pico. He's a dangerous man. And now has strung off 4 victories in a row. We talked about him being a little overzealous. The Zach Freeman fight, his first professional MMA fight. Henry Corrales, he did that there in the first round. Henry Corrales, the difference of experience of those guys when they were going into that fight, and then the Adam Voorhees fight happened again. I really do think that he's learned from them. He's had some major wins, right? Lee Morrison, Leandro Higo, that's a big win there. Higo's no joke. Knocked him out in the first. It's not like he's just going out there crushing cans. He will take out anybody on the right night. Aaron Pico has the wrestling background. He has the boxing background. When he came into the MMA game, maybe I think he has some jujitsu behind him as well. But when you're talking about a fighter coming into the game with being a very, very decorated wrestler and a very decorated boxer. He wasn't winning boxing championships, as a pro and whatnot, but he had a lot of boxing experience for his age, and you could see it translate into the MMA world. This is an awesome fight here, man. I think these guys are going to collide here. Justin Gonzalez is very dangerous as well. Like I said, I think Gonzalez could give Pico a good test here. But at the end of the day, I got to side with Pico. I've been extremely high on him for a long time. There's a reason why he comes into all of his fights from the very beginning as an extreme favorite. The lines may be a little inflated at times, but there's a reason. When you see a fighter come into every single fight at the lines that this guy does, there's a reason, man. People know what they're looking at. The lines are very indicative to reality, man, for the most part. We could be in disagreement at times about certain lines, but you guys got to agree, as a whole, betting lines are extremely accurate, man. The pros know what they're doing, and there's a reason why he's always such a big favorite. This guy is an absolute stud. I got to roll with him here. I hope that he's patient in this fight. If he picks his shots, mixes in some wrestling here and there, works the leg kicks, just works his overall game. Pico could be a guy that's definitely holding gold in the near future. Pico right now, only 25 years old, man. This guy's only 25 years old. Can you imagine what Pico's going to look like in another 3 or 4 years, right when he's in the prime of his career? The only thing that will ever hold him back is, again, just maybe his chin at times, his being overly aggressive. It could cost him at times, but if he learns from those past mistakes, this is a guy that could run the table for a long time over on the Bellator scene. Maybe we see him work his way over to the UFC down the line. But this is a solid fight, man. Great test for him. Great test for the J Train. This is without a doubt the biggest fight of his career, and we're going to see him tested more than he's ever been tested before. So Justin 12-0, we're going to really find out now. Is that 12-0 record, is he able to take it to the next level? Take out a big name like Pico, push it to 13-0. Then this guy, in my opinion, is going to get some real traction over on Bellator. People are really going to start talking about him. But unfortunately, as far as I'm going to go on the pick side, I gotta go with Pico here. Gotta go with Pico. And I've talked to Justin as well, man. We talked a little bit. I believe his management team shot me his number or whatnot, but I think we just DM'd on Instagram a little bit a while back. Very, very cool dude, very respectful dude. And unfortunately, we never set that interview up, man. We were kind of on different times, but maybe it'll happen down the line. But seems to be enjoying life, and wishing for the best for him there. Hopefully he can pull that out. That's a big fight there, man. And excuse me, I'm sorry, guys. We got to take a look at the live line there. Pico minus 335 to a minus 375, right in that range right there. I mean, a heavy favorite. Not the worst line you'll ever see on the Pico fight. Sometimes he's what, minus 800, minus 900. So people giving a little respect to Justin Gonzalez. I guess if you take it like that, maybe you think the line's disrespectful as a 12-0 undefeated fighter. Who you guys got, man? Comment below. I want to know who you guys got in this fight right here. All right, now we got... Excuse me, I skipped over a fight here, man. I want to talk about this Steve Mowry fight real quick, if you guys don't mind, taking on Rakim Cleveland. Real quick, man. This guy, Steve Mowry, a big boy. He's 29. Excuse me, he's 6'8" with a 79-inch reach. Putting in work over. It says Hard Knocks 365, but I think he's been putting in some work over at Sanford MMA. Rakim Cleveland. This guy's not a joke either, man. Don't let the record really fool you. A lot of professional experience. Yeah, he's taken a good amount of losses. He's a dangerous boy. Seen some tape on him. This guy is head kicking dudes in the third round, still going, extremely tough. Coming off 3 victories in a row, and like I said, finishing a lot of his opponents. And losses over in PFL to Vinny Magalesh, Victor Nemkov, the brother, I believe, of Nemkov, the champion over in Bellator. So he's been in there with some good talent. He's a tough dude. He's a big boy, a little heavy around the midsection. At times knows how to use his wrestling. I've seen him get a couple trip takedowns, get on top of his opponent, work some control time. Like I said, the guy's really looking for the finish when he's in there. He's a fun fighter to watch. Now, this guy Mowry, on the other hand, Mowry throws beautiful knees and elbows. I really like how he works them. His hands, he's working on his boxing. His low kick's okay, but the boxing is decent. But you can tell, man, when he's throwing his hands, they're very slow, and he's very susceptible to being countered. Saw him get dropped in one fight. He ended up coming back and getting a submission, but got dropped pretty brutally in that one fight. There's some holes. There's some holes in his game for sure, in my opinion. And the fact that he's a minus 700, minus 750, that's a little surprising to me. So people, maybe they think that he's cleaning things up, and I don't know, man. There's some defensive flaws there, and Rakim Cleveland will test you there. So, and that's an interesting fight. Keep an eye on that one as well there. All right, we're at the co-main event. Tyrell, Fortune. Gotta have respect for Tyrell. He literally put part of his name, had changed part of his name based on my show. He's been a long time fan of my prediction videos. Shot me a message. He asked if I would give him the okay for him to change his last name to Fortune. He wanted to make his first name Teller Fortune, but I wasn't really cool with that, so he ended up going with Tyrell, which is kind of close to Teller. But it's all good. It's all in good. It's all out of respect. So it's all good. Linton Vassell, a guy that's been fighting over in the Bellator scene for a long time. I got nothing but respect for Vasell. I think he's a very underrated fighter. I truly do. He's been battling with the best guys in Bellator and in the division for years, from way back. We could run through his resume real quick. Linton, the Swarm Vasell, fighting out of the UK. Very physically fit guy, well-rounded fighter. Look at this. You're talking about way back in the day, fighting, started off his Bellator career, 3 victories in a row, taking on Emmanuel Newton, former Bellator champion, taking on Sokoju, finishing Sokoju. King Mo, had a decision fight with King Mo, redeemed himself in the Emmanuel Newton rematch. Francis Carmont, former UFC fighter, Liam McGeary, very tough fighter, battling in there with Ryan Bader, Phil Davis, and then again, winning his last 2 fights against Sergey Karatanov and Hani Marquez, 2 big name fighters. Marquez, a former UFC fighter, Sergey, a former Pride fighter, all that, He's battle tested. He's very well rounded. The Hani Marquez fight, his last fight, looked very good in there. Stuffed the takedowns, reversed Hani, made him pay. Looking really good in here. He's rangy from the outside with his striking. Excuse me here. I want to compare these guys real quick from a physical standpoint. You're going to have a 5-inch reach for Vassell with the 2-inch height advantage. So the more rangy opponent. Tyrell, on the other hand, very decorated wrestler. We know about his wrestling abilities. This is a guy that can definitely take you down and brutalize you with the ground and pound. We just saw that against Matt Mitrione. He really hurt Matt pretty bad and got him down to the mat, hurt him pretty bad there. And he's been grooving as of recently. Took out Jack May, former UFC fighter, knocked him out. Took Syed Soma to a decision. Had that fight with Jack May the first time. Ended up being a no contest. A little bit of whatever you want to call it. It was a low blow. They couldn't continue to fight. The Tim Johnson fight. That was a fight, man, where I saw that fight live. I'm sure a lot of you guys did too. If you remember, man, Tim kind of had this weird step-in hook. He set it up beautifully, tagged him right in the chin, put him out. Tim Johnson was a big favorite in that. A big underdog. Tim Johnson was a big underdog in that fight. That was a major letdown for Fortune there. But I think it was just part of growing as a mixed martial artist. Again, he's a wrestler that came over to the MMA scene now. He's working on his entire craft. He's working on the striking. I think he'll learn to keep his hands up a little more so, working the head movement, and become a more complete fighter. I'm going to side with Tyrell here. I know I'm taking another favorite here, man, but I think that Tyrell could have an edge. Well, he does have an edge with the wrestling, and I think he could have an avenue to use that, but doesn't necessarily want to just stand the entire fight with Linton. But keep in mind, Tyrell does have some nice power in his hands too. He's been working on his striking, and he has some legit power too, man. So he could drop Linton as well. Keep that in mind. We'll take a look at the live line. Fortune is a -165 up to a -200 favorite. And just having that wrestling in the back pocket, I think, is such a big deal too, man. It is. I've seen Linton taken down at times. I've seen him give away rounds like that, and obviously he's been knocked out as well too. But against big time fighters, Phil Davis, Ryan Bader as of recently. But Fortune, like I said, has power. If he does land, he can definitely put out Linton there. All right, and that will take us to the main event. You guys, please like this video for me. If you guys could real quick, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you guys haven't already. If you're interested in ever working with me with my official plays, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Got my email below, my Instagram, all that. Shoot me a message. I'll give you my pricing. This weekend I have 2 very, very solid plays locked in already, and working on something here by the end of the day. I might possibly add something. We'll watch the weigh-ins and whatnot. What else before we get into Cris Cyborg, who is like a -4,000 favorite? Of course, just catch me on Instagram, MMA Fortune Teller _. And I think I wanted to tell you guys one other thing. Can't remember though. We got the BKFC fights tonight. Very excited about that. I guess that's about it. If it comes to me, maybe I'll hit you guys in the end of the video. But Cyborg, do I even need to go on about her, man? She's 24-2. Her 2 losses, right? Of course, Amanda Nunes takes her out a couple years back. She went in there for the kill early. You got to respect Cyborg. She went in there to get the early victory. That fight was just so full of energy, man. I was going crazy watching that fight. She got clipped, though. She got clipped. She got wobbled, and then Amanda Nunes capitalized. Other than that, I know that, her first fight against Erica Paz, back in 2005, that means really nothing. Jorina Bars, that was a Muay Thai fight. I saw that live. That was on HD Net Fights, and she got almost finished. It ended up being a decision, but she almost got finished there. She got really beat up against the ropes. But other than that, taking out all these girls, man. The big wins on her resume: Leslie Smith, Tanya Evinger at the time, Holly Holm, the big victory there. Yana Kunitskaya, Felicia Spencer, Julia Budd. Arlene Blencowe. I don't know if you want to add that there, but Arlene's a talented fighter. Takes out Leslie Smith again there. So maybe not the biggest of names on her resume. She's still a legend. You got to respect what she does. The girl's power is ridiculous. She's a physical specimen. Poor Sinead in this fight, man. We know about Sinead's boxing experience. She's like a 5-time national champ over where she's from. Have you pulled up her professional boxing record? She has way more losses than victories. I don't know what's going on with that. Her MMA resume, what is she, 9-4? 7-4. 7-4 as a pro. I mean, what is she really going to bring to the table here against Cyborg? I don't know about that. I don't know, man. It's just, I don't think there's a lot of other fighters to match Cyborg up with. She's as high as a minus 5,000 on some books. It's crazy. You guys know which way I'm going with this. I think that Cyborg's gonna brutalize her on the feet. Maybe she could survive. And Sinead does have competent boxing. You know, I went in on her boxing. It's just because they try to hype her up like she's this big time boxing star, and I'm not really with that. She's for sure above average compared to the regular women's Bellator fighter over there. I mean, she's competent with the striking. I mean, could she clip Cyborg? Could she counter her and clip her? Maybe Cyborg goes in there and completely disrespects her and goes in, kind of like the Nunez fight, goes in to take her out. Maybe Kavanaugh clips her. I'm just not banking on that. I'm not banking on that. And I think that Cyborg, if she wants, she can get this fight down to the mat. She can do all kinds of things, ground and pound her. Just take this fight. And I would love to see Cyborg come back to the UFC, to be honest, man. I would like to see her in some fights over there. There's a couple of matchups that come to mind. The Nunez rematch I would love to see, but you know, she's over there and they're trying to find opponents for her. And that's going to wrap up the Bellator 271 recap. What else? Taking place Hollywood, Florida, over at the Hard Rock Casino. You guys enjoy the fights. We got Bellator 271 taking place tonight. BKFC 22 taking place tonight. We got UFC Vegas 42 taking place tomorrow. Holloway and Yair Rodriguez. You guys enjoy all those fights. Be safe out there for this weekend. Be safe. Strap up your seatbelt. Don't drink and drive. All right, guys. On that note, signing out. Teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller. The teller. The teller. The teller.